I have been preparing. I've been making crankbaits. The ones in the last video. I've been thinking of new designs for baits. I'm coming up with a lipless crankbait right now. That's what this video is going to be about, I think. This lipless crankbait is going to be a shad. Have I done a fun facts on shad? I don't think I have. Even if I have, you can't get enough fun facts on shad, you know? They're a North American bait fish. So I guess we're talking about the anadromous fish, where they're the species that migrates from the ocean up into the freshwater rivers to spawn. Salmon, striped bass and stuff, those kind of fish, they do that too. There's also species of shad that don't do that. Catadromus is the name for that, the fish that don't do that. So I don't know why I'm saying this. That's what an American shad is, but there's a lot of other shad that don't do that. So I don't know why we started out this fun facts with that kind of classification, but the Clupidae, C-L-U-P-E-I-D-A-E, however you say that word, is the family of ray-finned fishes that herrings, shads, sardines, the kind of shad bait fish are classified as. Not only are they some of the best bait fish in the world for fishing, but they also, like the production of fish oil, they use these fish. They're fishes that you can net. You can catch a whole bunch of them, make all sorts of fish products out of. These types of fish, the shad, they spawn in huge numbers. They lay a whole bunch of eggs. Sometimes some species, it says up to 200,000 eggs at once. They just lay them near the surface of the water and they hatch, and there's a whole bunch of them as larvae, and they live as plankton, or among the plankton, or the zooplankton in the water for freshwater. Then they develop a swim bladder, transform into adults, and then there's a shad. None of these eggs are protected by the parents. They're completely helpless to a fish coming along that wants to eat them. What do they call that? Like R-selective. No energy is invested into the offspring. They just breed a lot and get by breeding a lot and survive as a species in numbers. So that makes them a bait fish. While if there's energy being invested into making sure the predator fish lives, that makes them the predator. And they eat, you know, the herds of fish. It says these type of fish actually seek protection from the big predators, like the birds and sharks and the big toothed whales. They chill out around those big predators because those big predators will eat small predators too. So they're in their big bait balls of just schools of thousands of shad, and they're looking for the biggest predator they can be around in order to, maybe that will help keep away the smaller predators that eat them. So this entire family of fish have approximately 200 species in it. Oh, this is what I'm going for though with this lure. There's this dude on Instagram that takes really good pictures of a really pretty fish. I'm not sure if this type of fish falls into the family of shads species, but well, this is hard to do on camera. This is his page. But these fish are crazy as a bait fish. I don't know, that just looks like the perfect meal for a predator. And it'll be interesting to try to get a similar paint scheme to that. It just looks really good to me. So yeah, that's what we're going for. That's what I'm making. Let's keep to work on this. And also, fun facts are over. Ended up giving this bait some pretty detailed gills. Just drilled that eye socket. It's a 1/4 inch eye. And I'm leaving the body smooth. I'm not going to put any scale detail or fins into the body because I want to be able to paint as much detail as possible onto these. I could have left the gill smooth too, but I don't know. I've always liked baits that have the gill detail. That was quick. Just going to seal this wood, get this bait smooth and the gill features smooth with some polyurethane, and I'm probably just going to use polyurethane, multiple dips. Then I'm going to make a mold with it, be able to cast these, figure out where the weight needs to be. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole process right now. We're going to seal the wood. I'm going to sand in between this and probably do that like 5 more times, and then it'll be good to go. Okay, 3 days later, and we've got this thing smooth. Shiny smooth. Trying to get a good glare. It's time now to make a mold. Sometimes this molding clay, it can get real sticky and become a big problem if you have detailed carvings. So I use some Vaseline and I cover my piece that I want to be molded in Vaseline before I start pressing it into this molding clay. That way it's a whole lot easier to remove this clay after it's been pressed into it. Mold box is ready to go. Just gonna mix up some silicone and pour it in. Stuff's a little old, but I think it'll work. Just wanted to see how creepy it would be if I stared at the camera in high speed. Probably pretty creepy. Man, I could have done this whole mold with just this can, but, you know, I didn't. I'll have to go out and get another one. Hopefully Hobby Lobby's got another one. Oh, that would be annoying if they didn't. It's set. Let's see how it looks. That's kind of annoying. Quite a bit of clay has stuck to the master. It's what you don't want to see. But still, we can make this work. I just need to remove that clay cleanly. I've got a bunch of these things. They're just really fine tip Q-tips. I used Vaseline as mold release on this whole thing again. Time to see if this mold's any good. That mold was extremely easy to open. Now I just have to cut some holes in it where you pour the resin and for air to come out of. You kind of have to think about this. You can't just go slicing willy-nilly and, you know, cutting in the wrong spots. So you got to take in consideration where the line tie is going to be versus where you want to pour and all that good stuff. I'm going to think about this and show you guys what I come up with. Got it all cut out, but but I have it all set up to where it's ready to pour right now, so I'll show you what I cut after I do this pour. I want to get some different weights and different micro balloon ratios poured and go test them out. So that was 0.35 ounces resin and hardener with a scoop of micro balloons, and I'm going to put a 1/4 ounce of lead in the belly. A hand drill makes really quick work of mixing. Got to make sure all of that shot gets settled into the belly where it belongs. And then I top it off again. Hopefully it's a clean casting. That's the first one, so we'll see. Nice. No air pockets or anything. That's gonna really want to sink belly first. Like I can stand it up in my hand like that. I got a good feeling about this one. Maybe I'll just go test this. By the way, all I did for the cutting in the mold is this pour spout on the top, and it's back pretty far. And then I tilt the mold like this, and there's a air sprue for the air to come out the back here. So I pour, and it kind of just fills up, and the air gets pushed out and comes out there. And apparently it works pretty good. Let's get this cleaned up, test it out. There, first bait for testing. So we got one on the pole, ready to go. It's the 1/4 ounce one, or at least there's a 1/4 ounce of lead in that one. And I got another one that has 0.15 ounces of lead in it, and I mixed up the ratio a little bit. Still 1 scoop of micro balloons, but less resin and hardener, so that's going to lighten up the body, and it's going to have less lead. So I just want to see what a lighter, less lead version of this bait acts like versus a heavier, more lead version. Thinking it's best not to go out there with just one bait. I should try something else against it and compare which direction I should go, if I should change it at all. So, let's get out there. Wow, that really works good. You see how the whole thing does that?
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. You see what I'm talking about though? Mm-hmm. Like it's doing this. The whole thing, and it's doing this too, but it's like moving side to side.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty crazy.
Quite the vibration.
Yeah, that's good.
You want it to do that?
Yeah.
It's very stable. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that, it's full of weeds and it still works. So this is the heavy one, 1/4 ounce of lead. Super stable, works perfectly, but might as well see how the lighter one works.
Gotta make sure I don't fall off this thing.
Yeah, you better not. I don't know, it's gonna be hard to beat. The heavy one casted really well too.
Yeah.
It was like perfect casting weight. This one's gonna have to have really, really good action if I'm gonna make it this way.
This is lighter?
This is a little lighter, yeah.
Wouldn't you want to make the lighter ones?
Well, the heavier one had a really good action, you know.
I meant if this one works good.
What do you mean? This won't be in the video, but...
I just mean like...
Oh, no, it's like pennies. A penny. I'm not worried about cutting costs. It's actually not as much action. Yeah, it's not as stable either, the lighter one. Comes up really easy. I'm gonna tie the heavy one back on and fish with it for just a bit. Well, I think that's enough testing.
Did your lure fly off?
Yeah. Sometimes that happens, you know. You get a little careless. You start seeing how far you can cast. Bird nest, bait pops off. It's no big deal. I can make a lot more. Have a few at my own disposal. Not that kind of disposal, but to fish with. It'll be good to have a few. So I've already started painting one. I'm going to be molding a bunch too, but this one's going to be mine and probably one other that I'll go fishing with. I think I said it at the beginning of the video, but we're going to be going for one of these very fancy shad-like fish with all those different colors in them. Stuff like that. I've never gotten that fancy on a shad bait, so we'll see if this is even remotely within my skill set. It's kind of difficult making a shad look colorful and interesting because they're very white fish. And if you overdo it with the color, it starts looking really cartoonish really fast. So we'll see what I can do. Trying to keep this painting quick. I'm probably going to make more videos on the painting of this bait in different paint schemes, but whatever I intend to make quick, I usually don't, so never mind. Yeah, that doesn't look very shad-like at all, but this is the color that's going to go under all the scales. I'm going to be using a really thin, small scale mesh for the scales on this bait. So a lot of this you won't be able to see. I'm thinking the cleanest way to do this is to lay down this cloth right here, a clean one, and lay the bait down and do one side at a time. Put the mesh over like that, and I'm just going to nail it tight. This is pretty meticulous for just a small bait like this, but this is a pretty specific paint scheme I'm going after. I get the feeling it's going to need some pretty detailed work to actually achieve that, how good that looks. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Sorry. I have to remember what I'm doing in order to get it the same on the other side. I'm going to cover up the gills with this thing and then shoot the scales. Plenty of white. Just realized how annoying it's going to be if I try to stencil the scales every time, so I'm just going to paint straight over them. And paint the scales after. So I'm just gonna paint straight over the gills with the scale on it, and then I'll go back and fix them once the scales are done. No big deal. So now I'm going over the normal white with some pearl white. Not a huge difference. Now I'm gonna come up here on the top with some gold. You can see up there, there's quite a bit of gold towards the front. Going for that. I'm using some red oxide, and you can see on the belly in the back and then kind of on the top in the back there's that reddish color. I think it's inside of the scales, and I think I need to put that color in the scales right now. I have no idea how this is gonna look when it's done. Next up is a very bright blue just behind the gill plate here. It's gonna be kind of a bar. The gold made that look kind of greenish and dark. And now it's a fluorescent pink as kind of a shad dot inside of that blue. I need to wait for that to dry. All right. Yeah, there's a little bit of it behind the blue too. So, you probably see it on camera. Those colors are bold, quite a bit going on there. So I'm gonna kind of go over the whole thing and get it pretty localized in spots with more pearl white to tame everything down. That was probably the most complicated scales I've ever painted. And just one side. I have to remember all that. It was white, pearl white, gold, red oxide, bright blue, fluorescent pink, back to the white pearl, and then this color that I'm about to paint on it. I'm going to paint this color on it. I'm going to take it out and show you what happened. What happened. This is a Wicked Flashback Green, or Wicked Fastback Green. A very transparent darker blue color with gold flake in it. Yes, that is the silence of someone who's moderately dissatisfied. But I think I can still save this and get it to look like the picture. Sort of. So I'm on the last couple steps of painting this bait. Tried to fix it as much as I could. It looks pretty similar now. And it never looked bad to begin with, but it's looking good. It's not a loss. So I'm just going to put some darker colors towards the eye here and glue the eye on. And then paint the back a darker color, probably black. And then it's done. On the real fish they have like blue stripes coming down from the top. I just went for a blue shad dot. And then there's that on the tail. I should add some white on top of that. Alright, I'm going to do this stuff and show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. Went with a black shad dot in the middle of the blue one. I lightened up that line on the back with some pearlized white. Added the black to the top and kind of around the eye a little bit and in front of it. That is the finished product. Well, it's not clear coated yet, but that's the finished paint. I like it. It's not that far off the picture, but it is not the same as the picture. That little stripe on the back looks the same. That looks cool. This does look more like a shad in my area. I got this guy hanging up on this little doohickey just like that. It's supported on both the line tie and the front hook hanger. So I can hang it up and the rear hook hanger is pointing down and I can put a drip line off of that. That's how I want all of this UV resin to drip off. I'm using UV resin on this one. I might not do it for the production baits of this model. I might use a 2-part epoxy for all the others. I'm just gonna see how this works. If I go into production using this UV clear coat in my cabinet, I'm gonna have to build a better cabinet, a big one with the lights closer. I think that's the issue right now with this thing, is that I don't have the UV lights close enough to the bait as it's curing. It'll take a little bit of working with, you know. So I'm just gonna dip this and hang it up and let it chill out for half an hour, let it drip, and then blast it with some UV light. I'm gonna try to take it out as slow as I can. That reduces the drippage. That looks good with the clear coat. That's weird. It's glowing. Well, I guess it's not weird because it's fluorescent paint. It's kind of cool. Gonna give that probably a half hour. I'm gonna check it in 20 minutes, and then if it's not done, I'm gonna give it a half an hour. Should be done by a half an hour. I'm gonna probably rotate it at 10 and 20. There's just 2 lights, one coming this way and one coming this way, and I'm gonna rotate it 45 degrees so the top and the belly of the bait get the light for a while, and then the sides again. Make it even, you know. You like that little stripe I did on the back?
Yeah.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous.
Nice and subtle.
It's all about the looks. That's it. It's just how good does your bait look, and then you'll catch fish if it's good.
Well, you should catch one then.
That's a decent one.
£2?
2.5. Not good at
Nice.
telling weight.
Very nice.
Yeah. That hook out of its gill.
Oh.
Okay. Got it.
4 different angles.
Another good one. Not a bad one. It's number 3. Today was a good day. Got a new knife from a subscriber. Subscriber, sorry, I always say that word wrong. I need to look up who sent me this. One sec. Sonny, thank you for the knife. Very nice of you. This thing's ridiculously sharp. Like, you don't even have to put this onto your skin and it pops hairs off. I've never held something this sharp. This is an awesome knife. Really cool handle. Thank you. And Dawn, I'm pretty sure that's your name, who sent me this book. This is an awesome book. The Lore of Sport Fishing, with something like 600 illustrations, different fish species. Definitely some inspirational material in there. And it might teach me how to be a bit better of a fisherman, and that's always good. The lure. The paint ended up looking really nice. The clear coat started chipping a little bit on that outing. I'm definitely going to be using the 2-part epoxy clear coats for the ones that I sell, but this will do for me, you know. Catches fish, has a perfect action, tons of action. Couldn't have asked for a better outcome when it comes to that size of a lipless crankbait. I'm happy with that bait. Super confident fishing with it too. Time will tell too. On tough days when the fish aren't biting, see if you can get anything to bite that kind of stuff. Needs a lot more testing, of course, that's what I'm trying to say, but it's a good start. And if you're wondering, where's the website and the baits that are supposed to be for sale on it? I'm trying to stock up a little bit and grow an inventory. I'm getting prepared for that. If I had to give you a date, a time, I'm not gonna. It's too much responsibility. It's coming. We'll get there. I got some over here. The ones below the rock bass, long-range sunfish, and Roman made. Right there. Those are getting painted. I got a whole lot more on the way. And a whole lot more of these to be molding and pumping out. I gotta make more molds of that bait so I can mold like 4 or 5 at a time. This is gonna be a lure company dealio. What am I saying? This is gonna turn into a lure company. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be a lure company. Right, Chip? Yeah. I'm thinking some kind of topwater bait for the next bait. And that's all I will say about that. On to the next bait. There's nothing to record over there.
Except for when I catch a pike.
You got one. Nice job.